Welcome back to Black Clover Anime Review, episode 101. Yeah, I finally passed that one. This I'm reviewing the newest episode of the anime, which is episode 148, Becoming the Light That Shines Through the Darkness, and chapter 268 of the manga, Devil. Yep, this episode wraps up this Devil Breaker / Devil Believers arc. Yeah, this arc. Oh boy. Now, this episode picks up exactly where last week's episode left off. We have Yami showing up, and of course, these devil believers think they're about to start a fight. Not really, no. And of course, we also have, the fact that the reason why Yami's here is because, they're like, oh, is that the only reinforcement ring? Nope. Brawls along, Nozel, and Fergolion. Yep. And they don't want to talk, but nope. So, Dunzel decides to use the mana of all the people there to try to probably attack them. But nope, ends up having a giant ice monster. And basically it takes the combined might of pretty much 3 magic captains beat this damn thing. And also having it where Nero also helps heal some of the people who were injured. And of course Asta punching a rock without his grimoire. And Dunzel's like, oh, you're not here to get your grimoire? He does get it back. Don't worry about that. Yep. After the thing is defeated, they open up a portal. Yeah, this is Drupa guy. Yeah, this is the guy who was last. He is technically, I think, the first this guy showed up in the series. I think it was during the Roan Knight's magical exam. That was the first time he showed up in the series. And I think this is the first time in the anime original content this character was shown. I don't know the character's name, but he uses spatial magic just like Fenrir does, except he doesn't create just portals. He basically creates a door out of nothing, which also has the portal. And coming out of the portal is Damito and William Bonchance. And he comes out and says, we're not here to arrest you, we're here to talk. And he basically and one thing he does is that he, not immediately, but he does take out his mask for everybody. Heck, Asta, this is the first time he's ever seen without his mask on. Matter of fact, I think it was, now Yami has already seen without his mask on. But in the case of Asta, I think this is the second time, though he doesn't really, you don't get a reaction from him the first time that he takes out his mask. Second time he does. My guess is Noel may have known about this, and maybe Magna, but he probably was surprised from other people. The fact that they're talking about discrimination, the fact he was discriminated against for basically having to face Yami group. They all think, oh, the magical knights made up of nobles and noble elites. And, in the case of, if you look at, let's say, the Black Bulls, not necessarily. It's like maybe one actual noble, the entire group. Because we have a foreigner, a loner, and a lot of people who are not even that rich. Of course, he doesn't bring up the fact he also has a drunk witch as part of his group. Yeah, and the fact he was serving against for not necessarily a foreigner, because they couldn't speak the actual language. And of course, Bonchance basically kind of agrees with that sentiment. Basically, it was thanks to the Wizard King that he was able to be accepted. So, I'll bring up Denzel and Bo's little thing in a minute. So, the people who are set free, the people who are not the devil believers, one of the cloaks, they're allowed to go home, no problem. The believers are charged with suspected of killing 3 people, instigating a riot, and kidnapping. Their punishment is exile. Yep, these people are exiled. Excuse me. In the case of Denzel and Bo, they happily accept that they can go wherever they want, so they walk off. And of course, also Asta, Denzel before she leaves, she gets Asta back. Well, also at the end of last week's episode, Asta, Noel were basically handcuffed, though Yami did free them. In this episode, after Asta basically broke away from them, and Nero basically is like, well, time to go. And she's like, yep, let's go. And they go off. And of course, we let us see Denzel and Bo holding hands. It's very implied that throughout this whole arc, these two might be actual lovers. They don't kiss per se, but it's very heavily implied, especially by this episode. Especially how close they are, and the fact that there's a very much romantic situation where Bo and Denzel could have had sex, but nope, they didn't show that at all. Because the fact that Denzel got burned by her husband. Now, it's also revealed that Denzel actually intentionally let her husband and her mother-in-law die. Which I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Why that? I don't know. Like, the reason is because he called her a good-for-nothing wench. The fact she was commonly insulted. It's interesting, though, they kind of developed the relationship. You might think they're like close friends. My opinion about these two is that they're lovers. It's very heavily implied, based on the mannerisms, and the fact that Denzel looks like she's very much interested in Bo, especially since a lot of the time when she was at her house, she was constantly staring at her. Yes. When they're like stirring up the pot, she's like looking over, like seeing like a glance at her, and of course she looks back, and they yes, it is very heavily implied these two have got a thing for each other, and they might possibly love us, but they don't really confirm that here. The only way you could tell is the fact they're actually holding hands. It seems like very hesitant at first, but they actually do in fact hold hands. Like an actual couple. And they go off someplace, like, could be some crazy magical region. I mean, they can't go to the Spade Kingdom because they don't have a grimoire or hostages, okay? So where did this where this group of people go? Well, they could go to the Heart Kingdom. I highly doubt they're going to go to Diamond Kingdom, especially since the country is occupied by the Spade Kingdom. Yep. But in the case of this arc itself, it kind of felt as though when I was watching this arc that I'd say about halfway through that that this arc was pretty much rewritten. And this is just my personal theory of why the arc was rewritten. It's because of the fact this arc received negative criticism. That's just my personal theory. Because you notice this especially when the Devil Believers show up. When they reveal that Denzel, the woman who actually kind of put together Devil Breakers, is Devil Believer. Yes, you kind of feel that when you watch these episodes. This arc itself has been going on for a little while, actually. I mean, it started with episode, I think it was like 142. I think it was. This arc has been going on for about 7 episodes, which for the anime original content, that is quite something because the thing about this anime original content is that a lot of this stuff tends to be, with the exception of a couple episodes, mostly it's a lot of standalone episodes. And it looks like next week we're finally going back to the training stuff. It kind of felt as though this whole Devil Breaker arc, Devil Breaker arc, seemed like a big distraction from what the actual thing should be. And it looks like, though, that next week's episode, we're going to have something interesting happen. Look, we'll see Nero interacting with the Wizard King. As far as I can tell, these two have never interacted before much in the manga. Like, they have one brief interaction with each other, like, toward I think it was, like, just at the tail end of the reincarnation. I think it was at just the end of the reincarnation arc. Well, they started the current arc, the arc before the current arc of the series. And that's it. That's the only interaction that those two have had. And I like the fact they're interacting with each other next week's episode. And let's go back to the Heart Kingdom. Yes, this is also the first time since episode 128 that we actually go back to the Heart Kingdom. So, I'm quite glad the fact we go back to the Heart Kingdom. I mean, there's nothing that says that during their time skip they had in the series that they actually went back to the Heart Kingdom at any point. I mean, they did show that one of the flashbacks in the actual current arc, they have once briefly visited back to Heart Kingdom just to have Magna and Luck trained with Godjol, the guy who was one of the Spirit Guardians. I mean, there's nothing that says they can't. But in the case of this arc itself, I would say out of all the original content that the series has put out so far, I would say these are the weakest of episodes I've seen. Because it kind of felt as though nothing much was accomplished with this thing, aside from the fact that they were kind of addressing a minor thing that people might have had. Like, it's kind of like exploring something so small and minor that some people might have had. Like a minor, like a small amount of people may have had as a result of the whole stuff with the Eye of Midnight Sun and the reincarnation arc. Alright, moving on to the news chapter of the manga. Devil. Chapter starts off basically with Asa, right? It's like, Devil's not the devil born in the underworld. Yeah, we show like various other devils, but he's not a bad guy. And we show his flashback where he just, like, people like, he just walking around. This is before I got chopped to the grimoire. And then he meets up with a woman who looks exactly like Asta. Letita, you at my house. This is magic. Yeah, and look, I found 5 grimoire. A grimoire with the 5-leaf clover the other day. Yeah, this is actually, believe it or not, this is Lick's grimoire. It's interesting though she found this damn thing. Like, it's the way she explains this, she just found this complete random. Like, oh cool. And then I asked me a devil, how crazy is that? It's like, you're afraid of me? We'll be scared of an injured little kid. Besides, you don't have magic. You're all frail. Anyway, if you're going to talk about being load, I can give you a run for your money. You see, I've got this body that steals magic and life and whatever near me. That's why I live outside the village by myself. So it's an absorption power. Interesting. It's almost like the way that the writer of the series writes her. It's kind of similar to the Black Wizard Zera from Fairy Tail. It's very similar to that. So she's got a similar ability to him, where because he had the ability to do that, to suck life out of things. That was due to a curse. This is her magic power. So I'd say it's a similar thing to that, but not exactly. I mean, the Black Wizard Zeref was immortal. The only reason why he got that way because he dared tamper with something that he wasn't supposed to. So, but hey, she has to stay be her kid, and you see a montage of them just hanging about. You can show them the path, which is quite adorable, and of course they share a bed together. He's like, just because someone's devil doesn't mean necessarily a bad guy, and after all, you're not a bad guy. Because be on my own. Be on my own hurt. You risk me from that. Thanks, Libby. Yes, apparently his name is Libby. And then like another devil pops up like, I am Lefisto. We'll believe devil will be in the human world making contract. One of the high devils? My body is listening to me. Yeah, apparently he's being possessed. Who do you think you are? Get away from Libby. He's like, foolish human, even though I'm powerless here. I know by you can like river. He's like, insolent witch. He's like, I'm letting go. And then she gets hit with a devil blast, like right through the freaking gut. Inconceivable, thwarted by human. Return. If I can't interfere with a lowly devil from anywhere, I will return. And he's like, and she basically used her power to seal him inside the grimoire. Then word to you, you'll grow up big and strong. Live, Libby, my dear son. And he calls her mom. And of course he goes inside. And then he comes to the president, like, devils are scum. Every one of them. So, I'm going to kill them all. Even I have to steal your body to do it. Wow, that's interesting. I think Lefisto, I think that might be, and this is my purpose, I think this might be the very same devil, possibly anyways, that was the main villain, the true villain of the reincarnation arc. Yeah. This chapter was really good. I like the fact we finally get a chance to hear what Asa's devil's name is. I mean, this devil's been around since the first chapter of the series. And now we finally figure out his name. Over 200 chapters in. Well, I did check basically release dates for these chapters. Now, Sunday there will definitely be a One Piece chapter release. I checked on the app. Black Clover, yes. One is taking a week off is actually My Hero Academia. Yep, that's taking a week off, which is quite interesting to say the least. But yeah, not much to say about this for this new episode of the anime and newest chapter of the manga. Both really good. Okay, so that's it for this particular review. And that's it for video today, because I think tomorrow probably I may get time to do a Naruto shipping review tomorrow. It's possible, so it's maybe at that most. Okay, produce the next video. Bye.